Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Eastern Shore Undercover Podcast. We're at episode number 7. I'm your host, Earl Campbell. We got a lot to catch up on. This has been, 2 weeks since we did our last podcast, and a lot of stuff has happened since, we did our last one. So, wanted to hop on here and take some time today, really sit down and clear up some of the misinformation that's being put out there over the past 2 weeks. So let's jump right in. The first thing I want to address is the whole Julie Giordano bribe that everyone has talked about over the past several months. It's a lot of constant misinformation that's being spread. That I bribed the county executive, Julie Giordano, with a $3,500 donation. I've covered this several times. I did a post about it, published that online. I did a podcast, covered it in the podcast. I did a podcast with the county executive where I flat out asked her, I said, Madam County Executive, did I bribe you with a $3,500 donation? And she laughed and explained that it was not a bribe. I addressed it on several radio interviews, but for whatever reason, it just keeps getting brought up. So I figured we would take some time and just go into details about this. So let's start from the beginning. We initially heard this during the July 30th, 2024 Wicomico County Council meeting where Wicomico County Council member Joe Holloway, he made a comment during his time for council comments, and it was in reference to a question that was posed about how the MOU came about between Eastern Shore Undercover and Wicomico County Executive's office. And if you bear with me here, I'm going to let you listen to what he had to say.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, council comments. Council comment, do we go?
Mrs. Brooks's question about how did it happen? You give a $3,500 donation to the county executive. That's how it happens. Okay.
Now you heard what he said. He made the allegations that I made a $3,500 donation to the county executive. And what he says got me the MOU. So then it didn't stop with Mr. Holloway. We went on to the work session on August 6th, 2024. 1 week from when Mr. Holloway made his accusations and allegations. And in this council meeting, we heard Wicomico County Sheriff Mike Lewis made several allegations towards Eastern Shore Undercover, and one of which was the same manner and demeanor that Mr. Holloway said. And I'm also going to let you listen to what Mike had to say, and then we'll come back and go over a few more things.
Number one, on January the 5th of this year, Earl Campbell and Eastern Shore Undercover gave a $3,500 campaign donation to Wicomico County Executive Julie Giordano during a non-election year.
So here again, you heard a county council member say it, and now we heard a sheriff say it. You heard him say that I got an MOU because of a $3,500 donation that I made to county executive Julie Giordano. It's not just those two. We've heard people who dislike the county executive and are openly against her in all of these council meetings, and they've made the same allegations. We've heard Wicomico County resident Mike Goldberg say it multiple times. I've heard him say that I've made a $3,500 donation to the county executive Julie Giordano. If you were listening to the Bulldog Show earlier this week, you heard the shrimp boat owner, Joe White, say that I made a $3,500 donation to the county executive. Everyone wants to want to point out the fact that Eastern Shore Undercover made a $3,500 donation to County Executive Julie Giordano. So what I wanted to do, just to clear this all up, is I want to go into this in great detail one more time so that everyone understands what happens. There's no confusion here, and everyone will understand that this wasn't a bribe. So first off, I'm going to put up a check here on the screen so everyone can see that, yes, I did in fact make a donation to the Friends of Julie Giordano. I made that donation on January 3rd, and as you can see, and I'm guessing it didn't clear until January 5th, which is what everyone mentions when they talk about it. Regardless, I've removed my account number here from the check so that no one has the account number, but that's what the blotch is. But as you can see, yes, there was no denying. Never has been, never will be. I did make a $3,500 donation to the Friends of Julie Giordano. So now, let's go back a little ways. In October of 2023, we went live with our new website. And for several months, we struggled with selling advertising. It was very difficult to sell ads because, I'm just not very good at it. I'm not a salesman by any stretch of the imagination. I give those guys a lot of credit. Anybody that's in sales is pretty amazing because I couldn't do it I couldn't make a living doing it. I'm going to put up so you can see some dates here. These can all be looked at and verified on our social media outlets by just searching new website. So we were trying to sell advertising, but like I said, again, I failed at it. I suck at it. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm just not a salesman. But I need to sell advertising to pay for the day-to-day operations of Eastern Shore Undercover, and most of all, to cover the cost of the website. And the website was very, very expensive. But overall, a lot of people don't realize it's expensive to operate Eastern Shore Undercover. We have multiple social media management software programs that we use. We have a design software. We have a newsletter program that we have to pay for. We have several different variations of online programs such as Photoshop. We have the podcast software that we're working on here right now. We have podcasting editing software. We have to do programs to keep track of things we have to do. Literally, it has turned into a nightmare of costs. And we will get into that a little bit later, a little more detailed about income. But regardless, I was looking for an easy way to meet business owners and to talk to them about traffic on the website and our engagement on social media platforms. I know, without any question, 100%, that there is no other option out there that can compete with Eastern Shore Undercover when it comes to exposure and site traffic. But I have heard from time to time that, people just, don't have the money to advertise. I've heard different things. Businesses don't have money to advertise right now. Times are tough, which I understand. But more importantly, I have a hard time myself going out and knocking door to door at these local businesses and trying to sell them advertising, especially in the economy that we're in. So lo and behold, it was like in late December, I think it was. I was at an event, and we saw the county executive there, and she was telling us about a event she was hosting called the Leap Year Celebration. And I'm going to put that here for you guys to see, the poster, because I think that showing this stuff puts a little more validity to it, and squashes all these rumors. So we're going to discuss this. So first thing to pay attention to here is what this event was for. It was an event to make the county more business friendly. So when I heard that, little bells went off in my bald head here, and I said, bingo. I wanted to do everything I could to go to that meeting or go to that event that she was hosting, because there was going to be, influential business people there. And I thought this was the ideal event for me to go to. so that I could meet the business people and I didn't have to worry about going out and knocking door to door and going into different, businesses and saying, hey, I'm Earl. You want to buy advertising on Eastern Shore Undercover? And hopefully that would have opened some doors for me to sell some ads. So then, if you look at the bottom here, you will see that the county executive was looking for sponsors of the event. These events, they're not cheap, they're not free, so of course she needed sponsors. My wife and I, we fully support County Executive Julie Giordano, so I reached out to her and I asked, hey, could I be one of the platinum sponsors? And if you look at the poster, you will see at the very bottom, the platinum sponsor is, and if I can get a drum roll on this little thing, it's $3,500. I'm going to take this down and I'm going to put up another photo that we took at the event to show what we sponsored. This is what we posted that night that we came home. We made a post. We were very happy to help out, and I got to meet some really awesome people at the event. Miss Julie thanked us when we were there for sponsoring the event that night. But here's what she did that no one else does, and that is she thanked all the sponsors at this event. She didn't just thank Eastern Shore Undercover, and she didn't just say that Eastern Shore Undercover was the only one there. She thanked everybody. And there were some really great sponsors of this event. As you can see on the list, you have people like Pocomoke and, some really influential business owners that were there. But what I don't understand, and I'll never understand this, is why everyone just wants to scrutinize Eastern Shore Undercover and try to cloud the air, making it look like we made a donation to something that it wasn't. Everyone wants to make these allegations that I bribed the county executive. But again, this check was signed on January 3rd, cashed on January 5th. And let's not forget, the decision to go encrypted wasn't until I think it was in March. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was in March. And they actually didn't go encrypted until July or August. Or at least the sheriff's department didn't. So I guess from that standpoint, I'm a mind reader. I can predict the future. And I guess that everyone must have forgot that there were other businesses that did this. Same thing, not just me. Wasn't exclusively by Eastern Shore Undercover. So why is it that everyone wants to, take a shot at Eastern Shore Undercover because we sponsored an event in what many said is a non-election year? Well, in my opinion, it's pretty easy. It's because we have a very strong following. Today we hit 128,000 followers. And right there, I want to stop and say thank you to everybody. My wife and I greatly appreciate everybody that's come on board. Bike Week was very, very busy. We got a lot of new followers. School started back again. That always makes us a little bit busier. Parents that send their kids off to Salisbury University want to know what's happening. So to everybody that's new here, we thank you. We welcome you to the community. So carrying on, what these morons do is they want to paint a picture that we are doing something shady or nefarious behind the scenes, and they want to make it out that we're basically being corrupt. But in my opinion, it's that same old concept that when you're guilty of something, you sort of accuse others of what you're guilty of to cover your guilt up. And that's what I think happens here with the Good Old Boys Network. We throw out the allegations so that, muddies the water. So I hope that answers the questions about this bribe. There was no bribe. Nothing at all. Like, that was never even a thought in my mind. I did it for my reasons. Excuse me. There's no other reasons. I did it for my reasons. And if you want to say that was selfish, then yeah, I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of trying to sell advertising on my website. Which brings us to our next point, which is Eastern Shore Undercover and our finances and, basically being a business. This keeps getting brought up, and it amazes me, but I'm going to address it because, it keeps getting brought up, and I'm the last couple of weeks have just been a little frustrating to me. So there's constantly complaining about Eastern Shore Undercover being a business. People yell, people complain. You probably see me on different, Facebook pages complaining about, or answering questions. I shouldn't say complaining, but answering questions about if we make money off Eastern Shore Undercover and how we make money off Eastern Shore Undercover. So let me go back, to 2022, and I want to give you a timeline of what happened. I think it was around July or August, we started getting notifications from Facebook that we were one of the top Facebook pages, and they offered us a monetization package. And I didn't believe it. I thought it was spam. I thought it was a virus. There was a lot of, reservations from my part because I just didn't want to believe it was true. But they kept sending out emails and little Facebook notifications telling us that, basically we were missing out and leaving some money on the table. So my daughter at the time said, "Dad, I think this is real. There are people that get paid from social media." Now, keep in mind, I never set out to make Eastern Shore Undercover a business or to make money with it. It was always just a platform, just to, provide information to the community. Started very small, 50 people. I've been over this 100 times, but that's how it started. Never dreaming it would blow up to 128,000 people. Never, ever. That being said, if Uncle Mark Z wants to pay me, then by all means, I'm going to make money on it. I'm going to make money, and I'm going to let him pay me. So what I did was I went and I set up an LLC, and I set up a bank account, and I hired an amazing attorney, Miss Arlette Bright, and she took care of all my trademarking of the business as a news organization and went through all the business aspects. I hired an accountant. We got our IRS stuff set up, all that goodies to make it a real business. So I was doing everything by the book. And then we began getting monetized in Facebook, and I believe my first check was in October of 2022. And what that did was it provided me the ability to do things that normally I would never be able to do. I was able to sponsor some sporting events. I sponsored a bunch of law enforcement events. I sponsored fire department events. I sponsored some events over here with Mr. Moses at Warwick. We were able to feed the homeless and provide local shelters with some necessities that they needed. We were caring for people that we didn't even know. And I was able to help families, even during tragic times when they were left in positions that required them to bury their loved ones. I sponsored softball tournaments to benefit the Hilliard family. I sponsored the He Cook Fest with Mr. Doug Marshall and the folks at Kylan Barnes. And I could literally go on and on and on. I created things like, when we would go out to dinner, we would tip the waiter or the waitress, and whatever our bill was, we would tip the waiter or waitress the same amount. If we went out as a whole family with my entire family, it was a pretty nice little tip for that waiter or waitress. Now, granted, we haven't been out to eat in many, many months because, unfortunately, not everybody likes Eastern Shore Undercover, as you guys probably see. And we went out to dinner at a place, and we found out later that our food was tampered with. I'm not going to mention any names. My wife and I decided from that point on, we just can't do this anymore. Can't go out, eat locally. We will go out, travel up to Dover and, travel out Caroline County, but we refuse to go to eat around here anymore because it's just, I can't trust it. I can't trust that someone was not going to tamper with our food. From someone that doesn't like Eastern Shore Undercover or doesn't like what we do. But regardless, yes, we have been a monetized page for some time, and I've never hid that. I've never tried to hide that. People can expect me to run a page for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Granted, I do take breaks in between, so I'm not saying I'm here the whole 16 hours. But they can't expect me to do that and not be compensated. whether it's from Facebook or, selling ads on the website, business directory ads. I think it's totally unfair for anyone to expect that of me, or anyone for that matter. I have bills to pay. I have a family to provide for. I have financial obligations that I must fulfill each month. So how am I supposed to do that if I don't make money off the page? It really is a crazy concept. So, look, before we get into the next part, speaking of all this monetization stuff, it's a great time to ask you all to please, please, please do me a huge favor and click that subscribe button down below. And if you like what you see, smash that like button. I greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get the YouTube page up to 500 followers so we can piss some more people off and make a few more dollars. But anyway, let's keep moving on. Next thing I want to address that's happened, it actually happened yesterday, is an example of why encryption is not good for the citizens. Last night, we shut down a little bit early, and we woke up and we got a bunch of people sent us messages, bringing it to our attention that the Pocomoke City Police Department in Worcester County, Maryland, informed the community through a Facebook post that there have been multiple break-ins that have occurred over the past month. If you want to see that post, just head on over to Pocomoke City Police Department and you'll see it there. Now, while I support their diligent work, it's crucial for me to address this, that the community needs to receive more timely updates to prevent becoming victims to these types of crimes more effectively. Hence the reason we have been so demanding of transparency and against full encryption. In my opinion, knowing about these incidents, which, quote, over the past month, isn't enough, isn't what the community needs, and certainly isn't going to benefit the citizens, talking about something that's happened in the past. Citizens deserve to have real-time information to take immediate action and to safeguard their property and their families, not later in the month. So furthermore, I decided to go to their Facebook page, which is not their Facebook page, I apologize. Their website, which is www.pocomokepolice.com. And I wanted to figure out, what's going on down in Pocomoke and how the crime has been, since we haven't heard anything because of the encryption. I found that their monthly stats haven't been updated since June 2024, start of the summer. I then went and figured, maybe I don't get their press releases. So I looked for their press releases, and guess how long they haven't been updated? Since April of 2024. So either, Pocomoke is now the safest place and they've gotten rid of all crime, or the next statement is false, or at least that's the way it would appear to me. So on January 17th of 2024, Pocomoke Police Chief Arthur Rudy Hancock stated in the city council meeting that his agency would be going fully encrypted. He gave a couple different reasons, but the first statement that he made was anything that needs to be put out. Let me go back a little bit. The first statement that he made was anything that needs to be put out for the community to be aware of, we will make sure we do it on our social media. Now, if you go to their website and you click on the monthly stats, or even if you go to their Facebook page and you scroll back to February 24th, 2024, and a post by Chief Hancock, he stated the following, and I quote, "In our endless attempts to remain open and transparent with our citizens, each month, my office will post monthly crime stats and incidents that occurred within our jurisdiction." You can see that on their website, or you can scroll back and see it. They also posted it on their Facebook page. And then the encryption happened on March 1st, 2024. 1 week later. And now, unfortunately, there's no press releases, no updates to the monthly stats since June before summer, and there's no way to hear the Pocomoke City Police Department or know about the crime in the area to prevent you becoming a victim and to protect your family. So my question to everybody, everybody was complaining when I was bitching and moaning about this when it first happened. So my question to everybody is, do you feel safe knowing and finding out about crimes over the past month? Is it okay to have no stats and no press releases for several months? Do you honestly believe that there's no crime, there's nothing happened deserving of a press release since April? I mean, ask yourself that. Look, everybody came down to me and were upset because I kept pushing the buttons about this transparency and the encryption. But transparency helps us all stay safe and protects us against crime. And this is just another prime example of why encryption, full encryption, is not good for citizens like you and me. So I just want to put that out there again. Like I said, a few people have reached out to us from Pocomoke, expressed their concerns about it. So I promised everybody I would address it. Next up, I want to talk about the complaints and, the Eastern Shore Undercover, or I guess I should say the Earl Campbell Haterade Club, that are out there, and address a few of the messages that we've received. So the first one, we were sent a post a couple days ago, a post that was put out there by Mr. Joe Albero of SBY News. And I want to say it was like Monday or Tuesday. And I guess he said that I attacked the citizen, and I did a long post. He did a long post. I think he had 10 or 12 comments on there. And if you read the comments, you'll see that several of them were the same person that was commenting. And if you want to know who that person is, all you got to do is go to the council meeting and listen for the guy that always gets up there and says bootlicker. So, I'm not going to beat a dead horse on that. Whatever they want to post on the other websites, that's up to them. We don't control what other people do. We don't control what other people post. If that's what he wants to post, let Mr. Albero be Mr. Albero. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. Next up, I want to talk about Mr. Council Member Shane Baker. And I kid you not, we probably get about 200 screenshots of this guy's post a day of him just completely falling apart and spiraling out of control on social media. The funniest part about that is he posts all this stuff and he goes into the council meetings and he says, I'm pulling it back. I'm reining it in. And then literally 2 hours later, he's on there back at it again. Now, maybe it's just me. I'm a little bit different. I'm wrapped a little bit different than most people. But if I were to post something and 95% of the people were against me or what I posted, I damn sure wouldn't post anymore. But you know what? You got to give the guy credit. He's resilient because he sure is taking an ass whipping on social media these days, and he keeps posting it. So it's actually amazing to me. But someone asked me the other day if he were to run for sheriff, which is the newest and latest rumor talking about Shane Baker, and said if he were to say he is going to get rid of encryption on day one, what would you do? Meaning me. And my answer, and you guys can all hold me to this, write it down, come back, save the date for this podcast. I told them I would encourage everyone to vote for the other guy. Whoever it is, I don't care who it is, whether that's Mike, John, Joe, Jerry, or whoever. Go the other way. Look, seriously, we can all joke about it and we can make all the light of it, and we can certainly get a good laugh out of it. Some of the responses that people have sent me have been really, really good. But the truth be told, at some point, someone's going to have to, intervene or have an intervention or do something. because I'm honestly not sure that he's even truly fit to be a councilman at this point, or a leader of the county. I mean, I did see a comment, several people sent us where he had said something and he was in, go back a little bit. People were a little upset that he said in the council meeting that, he couldn't believe that a citizen was given a police radio and an MOU, the whole 9 yards. You guys know what he said. And then I guess he went on and he commented either on his page or on someone else's page that he would be in support of Wicomico County First, or Wicomico First Alert, getting an MOU to have access to post calls for Wicomico County. I think he said he would be an advocate, and then again saying after the county goes fully encrypted. So I want to say this without sounding cocky or arrogant. But Councilman Shane Baker and his opinions of Eastern Shore Undercover are irrelevant. I just don't care what that guy has to say. If you've ever noticed, I don't comment on his stuff. I don't really pay attention to what he says unless someone sends me a screenshot. And even then, I may get a chuckle and a laugh, but his opinion of me and my site mean absolutely nothing to me. I've worked very hard to build this site and to build this following that we have. So, what's the old saying? A lion doesn't worry about the opinions of the sheep. Well, I don't worry about the opinions of Shane Baker. Moving on, talking about Wicomico on First Alert. We were, sent a couple posts, I guess it was last week, from Wicomico First Alert and Ryan. And bless his heart, poor soul. For those who don't know, Ryan's been around for a long time. He had Wicomico County First Alert before Eastern Shore came along. And since we started the page and since we started our post, he's always tried to take cheap shots at me. And for the most part, I've ignored it. I've told everybody on our page, just ignore the guy, let him do his thing. Truth be told, it's jealousy. It's nothing more, nothing less. I tried to have a conversation with that guy right after I started Eastern Shore Undercover. And I remember him telling me that I would never get to 50,000 followers because that's not the direction that Facebook was going. And, no one follows Facebook anymore. He gave me the whole spiel. And I think at that point he was like at 90,000 followers and I was like at 1,000. And I remember saying to him that, you do you, I'll do me. Let's worry about it ourselves and not worry about each other. This guy will show up and he will post 3 things in a day and then he won't hear from him for 3 months. And then he'll pop up and he'll ask people to send him patches and, plants and flowers. And then he'll show up again and 3 weeks later and he'll post 3 more things. And then he'll post some bullshit AI image that says, Meta wants Wicomico First Alert back or whatever it is. And then I'll post a poll saying, hey, I'm making a comeback. And, if you want to see me come back, let me know. Look, whatever. So last week we got a few people that sent us a screenshot and it was a posting of me with this microphone right here. Making it out that, I was Uncle Fester from the Addams Family. And I actually thought it was pretty funny. I give him credit. It was comical. But my wife didn't like it, and she was hurt by it, and she thought it was just, bullying and, uncalled for. As I told her, and many people that message us about it, he's entitled to post whatever he wants. If he wants to try to gain a little bit of popularity using my bald head, so be it. A lot of people felt he was bullying. Some said he was showing his true character. Some shared stories from actual nurses that used to, provide care for him, and his mannerisms. And, many of those have cost him some nurses that worked for him. One of which that I know of, very close friend of mine, who shared some nightmare stories with me. But look, bottom line, just ignore that guy. I don't care if he puts up my face as Fester. He's never going to measure up to what we do here with Eastern Shore Undercover. He's never going to outwork me. ever. No way, shape, or form will he ever come close to outworking me. He's never going to catch up to us with followers. He's never going to have the engagement that we so proudly have. So let's just worry about Eastern Shore Undercover, and let's ignore the peanut gallery. Let's stay in our lane. Let's stay focused on what we have to do and not worry about him. So I think that's all I have for today. I covered everything I wanted to go over. Wasn't that long. Oh, no. There's one more thing. So earlier this week, and it started on Monday, and I kid you not, we probably got 500 plus messages from concerned parents asking if they should send their kids to school because of these threats that were going around. And I'm going to say this in the most polite and professional way possible. But as you all know, I'm pretty to the point. You know, in today's world, in today's society, when law enforcement get these threats, you know, they have to take them serious. They really don't have a choice in the matter. You know, in the world we live in, you know, danger lurks out there. And if they don't take it serious and something does happen, then they would have a lot of explaining to do. I'm sure, or at least I don't want to say I'm sure, but I'm confident that a lot of these threats, police probably are like, you know, another one. You know, this is probably another BS threat. But they have to take it serious because these are your kids. And, you know, whether we agree with it or not, they have that obligation to keep your kids safe. So what people ask us, and when people call and message us and say, hey, is it safe to send my kids to school? I can't answer that. Because I don't know if they have a credible threat or whether this is just another, you know, social media nonsense. And I think what's happened is law enforcement has become somewhat handcuffed by these threats. And it takes a lot of manpower to clear these buildings and, you know, determine if they're credible or not. And they're going on everywhere. I know they happen in Talbot County. I know they happen in Worcester County. They happen in Delmar. Sussex County put out some posts about it. We saw Somerset County put out a post about it. It's everywhere, and it's out of control. And it's not just here on the shore. It's across the bridge. I mean, I know PG County and Montgomery County also had it. You know, and part of the problem is, you know, here in Maryland, juveniles really don't have any consequences to their actions. And let's just call it what it is. So they could do this and get away with it. Maybe they'll get a suspension, but even then, it's like a day off for them. So it's not a big deal. What I'm trying to say is as a parent, you have to be the one to make that decision. You should base your decision off of the info that you have, not off of what Earl Campbell has or what I post on my page or anything of such. You know, you have to make that decision based on your information. I would hate to be a parent with a kid in school these days because I don't know how I'd react when these threats come out. Sure, we had a few here and there when my kids were in, you know, high school, but nothing like it's happening now. So I feel for everybody that's a parent. My heart goes out with all of you. One more thing. You know, a lot of people when you get these threats, they send us the threats, and they want us to post them so everybody sees them. And I refuse to do that. And the reason is because you post these online and it feeds these trolls that send them out. If I post that, a lot of people are going to see it. So with running a page as large as Eastern Shore Undercover and having a following as strong as Eastern Shore Undercover is, we sort of have a responsibility to be careful for what we post. And just posting a threat that's out there that's being sent from, you know, Worcester County to Talbot County, it's just not very responsible for us, and I won't do that. Now, if a law enforcement agency sends me a post and says, hey, this is a credible threat, can you help us out? It'll be done that night. And I'll have every person in that school seeing it with using geomapping. We'll get it out there. But if I post a threat that is not credible, it gives that person that did it a little bit of credit And this creates a lot of fear in parents. So I just don't do it. No different than this morning. There was an Ocean Pines page that had, posted some guy that they said was using a knife and created a bunch of fear. So when we got in this morning, we had a few messages about it. And I didn't think it was true, because I have some police officers in Worcester County that if something like that would have happened, they certainly would have sent me over a message. So I did the right thing. I wanted to verify what had happened. So I didn't post the picture of the guy. I think I did later on after I verified it was not true. But what I did was I shot an email over to Ocean Pines police chief Tim Robinson, and I asked him if it was real, and he responded by saying, we're going to post something on Facebook. A few minutes later, they had something posted up, and he acknowledged that it was in fact a hoax. So that's a good example of why you don't post that. If I would have posted that, you would have had every person out there, and I don't know who that guy was that was in the picture. He could have very well been a criminal from the past, or could have been a mugshot. I don't know who it was. But if I post that, 128,000 people are going to see it. Not all of them, but, and if you're in Ocean Pines, you're going to create fear. That's why we don't do that stuff. So I think that's all we got. We're sitting around 40 minutes. So I want to thank everyone for listening to this week's podcast. As always, my wife and I truly appreciate it. Please, 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 please don't forget, hit that subscribe button down below. Tell all your friends, hey, go like Eastern Shore Undercover's YouTube page and go see the bald guy Earl. Remind them to click that subscribe button. Help me out here. It really does mean the world to me. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. And once again, thank you for watching episode 7 of the Eastern Shore Undercover Podcast.